Hello, all. Welcome to our Level Up with Curate education series. We are just on time. We have quite a few people that are joining. We still have more that are joining. So we're going to give people another minute or two to just finally get logged in, all of those things. In the meantime, we are doing something special today to kick off our education series that we're so excited about. We have a Curate community. So some people it is they're already signed up for it for the Curate community, but if you are not, or whether you are or not, we are going to share a link where you can go into our Curate community and you can add something that you consider a tip or a trick or a hack about Curate, something that you use to make your flow go easier, go faster, whatever that looks like for you. Brooklyn is going to share a link, or she might have already shared a link, um, where you can go in and add that information in there. Just add your tip, your trick, whatever that is. And anybody that adds something today will get a $10 Starbucks gift card. So go in now. Now is your moment to get your treat for your coffee. Just go in, use that link that Brooklyn is going to share with everybody. She's going to find that one down. Oh, I'm sorry, Rebecca. I see your message. But she is going to share that link to go ahead and sign up. Go ahead and add your tip and trick while we give everybody else another minute or two to get logged in. And anybody that adds anything today that you consider a tip or a trick or something like that, we're going to be sending over a gift card for $10. So go ahead and log in. Use that link to go ahead and sign in or set up an account with the Curate community and take advantage of that. We're going to give everybody just another minute or two. We'll get started just momentarily. Okay, we have a lot of people that are joining. This is awesome. So if you're just joining, I've seen quite a few people just hop in. If you are just joining, go ahead and click that link. Get set up on our Curate community. It's called Circle. Get set up on our Curate community. Anybody that leaves that puts a tip or trick or something like that in the Curate community today, we're going to be sending over a $10 Starbucks gift card. Just something, a nice little treat for now. It finally feels like fall for us. I don't know about everybody else, but it finally feels like fall for us. So a little treat. Go ahead and throw something fun in there, some tip, trick, or something that you use in Curate, and we'll send over that gift card a little bit later today. But we're going to go ahead and get started. So we kind of already talked about the Curate community. So we will start with who we are. What are we doing in front of you? So for many of the people that are here today, you probably already know us. Me and Brooklyn, we do the monthly product webinars every single month. We do trainings with customers. I work on the customer success side. So if you don't know me, my name is Shannon. I work on the customer success side, do a lot of trainings with customers, help them get the most out of the system. I've really been grateful to been a part of Curate for 7 years now. It's crazy, 7 years that I've been working with event professionals and helping them get the most out of the system, streamlining their business, maximizing profits, everything with that with Curate. We've also got Brooklyn that Brooklyn is on our product team. She is one of the main people that is going through gathering feedback from customers and putting that together to make what can we build that's going to give the most impact for our customers? That's primarily Brooklyn. That's going to be a part of that. So she leads the way on a lot of our product side things, like the monthly webinars. We also have Cheryl with us today. She also works in customer support. Some of you might be familiar with her as well. She does a lot of customer training, a lot of customer onboarding with people. She works in chat and support, helping people as they're getting going in the system. So we've got her joining us today, and she is going to be managing the chat for the webinar today. So if you have some questions or things that you are asking about or something like that, you can feel free to throw them in chat, and Cheryl will be there to kind of help support as we're kind of walking through some pieces today. For our software, as everybody knows, we are a software for event professionals. We work with anybody who really is in the event industry to help manage their events, help manage the front of house and back of house in the software. Everything that we're going to be looking at for most of the sessions, it's going to be cross industry. We're going to be looking at things for catering, things for floral, things for planners or rental companies, all of the above, venues, all of the above. We do have 1 week of the education series that we have split into two different groups where you would want to join one session if you are one specific group, or the other session if you're the other specific group. So we can go over some really specific examples that are really relevant and true to you and your business practices in the system. Um, for our for our for what we do in the system, everything that we build in the system all the time, we are customer led. Anytime that we build anything, it is because a customer has talked to us about it, somebody has brought something up and they're sharing that with us. The way that we gather all that feedback, of course, it comes with calls, of course, it comes with chats, but a big way that we gather that feedback is customers directly submitting things to us saying, hey, we really want this feature, or hey, this is a change that we would like to see in the system. We build thin, we release as quickly as we can to our customers. So we need your feedback. Essentially, we need your feedback. Brooklyn has a link as well that she's going to share for if you do have any feedback to use today or to use anytime, to go in and just say, hey, this is an update that I would really like to see in the system. None of that feedback goes to waste. We use it all and we keep it all. We attach it to features, things that we can build to improve people's lives. The more that you tell us, the more that we know what needs to be built. So please do put your little vote in there, put your vote in there, put that feature in there so that we can make sure to get that built. Okay. Something that we are doing for this Level Up with Curate education series, this is going to be very educational. There is going to be a lot that we are going to go over. Some of these things you may already know, you may already be on them, but there are a lot of things that probably will surprise you, things that we see people using the system for, ways that we see people setting up their accounts. Everybody is going to learn something from it, whether you've been on Curate for 500 years or you just joined last week. Everybody is going to learn something from these sessions because it is a time for us to take a deep dive into features and the ways that we see people use them. As we are going over them, if you think of another example or another way that you use those things, feel free to throw them in chat. We'll share some of those things, but feel free to throw those in chat as well so that we can see other ways that people are using them. But for anybody who is able to join 4 of the 5 sessions, we're going to actually do a Curate certification. So it shows that you have been through the system, you have seen the ways that you really use the system. So we have a certification that we'll send over to you. We also have a little tag that you can throw on your profile on LinkedIn. Everybody knows that it's good to have those pieces of education added in there. So we'll send that over to you as well. If you can join 4 of the 5, so please join, and we'll send over that Curate certification at the end. All right. Okay, well, today in our session, we're going to go ahead and dive in. You're going to see that I have my account up. This is one of our demo accounts that we regularly use for demonstrating product pieces, things that I will be showing off in the system. So I'm sharing that today. Our goal of today, our theme of today is setting the stage and building the foundation. So what we're focusing on today is setups of the account, little pieces, things that you might not even know exist in the system. Honestly, there's a lot of what I call like hidden features. So we'll go through and we'll find those features that you may not even know are there. We're going to walk through those together so that you can get the most out of the system. All of our weeks in the sessions are going to build on each other. We will not go back and go over things that we have gone over in previous weeks. Every week, it's going to be building on what we did the week prior. So it's in your benefit if you have attended or gone back to watch the video of the week before. And at the end of every week, I have some items that I consider like homework items. What are some things that you can do, two or three things that you can do this week that is going to help prepare you for what we're going to cover next week? So that way you're getting the most out of the system. We intentionally did this between October and to end before the end of November because everybody goes into the holidays and then into wedding season, proposal season, I guess it is for a lot of people starting in January. So we intentionally did it during this time so that you can get the most out of the system before things really start ramping up with proposals, building things like that in the system. So today, our goal is setting the stage, building your foundation. Our goal is to really get comfortable in the system and customize it for your business. Now, this account today, I will point out, this account today does have everything in it. This has all of our add-ons and everything like that in it. We're not talking about any add-ons today, but all of the add-ons we will talk about in the journey. We will dig into those completely. Today we're not talking about any of those, but you'll see some things. You may see some things in the account that um, you don't see in your account. It's probably because of it's an add-on or something like that in the system. So just a heads up about that. But we are going to start here on the dashboard. So if you are logged into your account, you'll see this. This is generally where you're going to land. This is going to be the dashboard right here. It's got your listing of all of your events. Now, this is a pretty standardized setup. Usually, whenever your account is just going to be here, this is going to be all of your events. Anytime that you go to go.curate.co, right here, if you just have go.curate.co, it's always going to land you on the projects page. One little tip that I will give, some people live and die by the calendar view. They love the calendar view. They love seeing that, maybe even on like a monthly basis. They love seeing that. What we will see people do is they will go in, you've already see that I've already got it here, where you can bookmark the calendar view. Just have this right on your tab. You see I've got mine bookmarked right here, so that if I click on that bookmark tab, it goes straight to the calendar and I can see the overview of my events. Now, we will come back and actually look at some things with the calendar today, but that's probably number one tip. If you live and die by the calendar view, go ahead and have that bookmarked so that you have that on your dashboard and you can just quickly click that to come right into the system. But you're always going to pop in on go.curate.co. You should always land here on the dashboard page. Something that is here, which people that came from Curate Classic, you may be familiar with the tags or people that are actively using the system. We do have tags. This is how you can display it. And this is a sliding table right here. You can slide back and forth on this table. I'm on a Mac. I'm using two fingers and I can just go back and forth right here on this table to slide back and forth if I want to see more tags. But you can also turn them off, toggle them off, and toggle them on. You can see that we do have a few different tags on these events right here. Now you can use tags for so many things. In the system, you can have a tag that's on the event, you can have a tag on the products, which we will talk about a little bit more later. But on the events, some common things that I see on the events that people might want to use tags for is maybe a specific venue. If you're like a caterer or a planner or a florist or something like that, and you want to remember what are the places that I had these events, because at the end of the year, you may want to see which venue was I at the most this year. You may want to pursue a special relationship with that person. Throw a tag on those to represent that. Throw the venue on here because in your reporting, we include tags in the reporting. So at the end of the year, you may pull your events report for the year and you'll do an export and you can see that. That could be, you could put other people on there that you work with, other vendors that you're working with for that event. Some other things that we'll see people put on here are things like if you have a person that you hire to do something special, you can add their name on here to know, okay, I've already reached out to them. They've confirmed that they can work this event. There's a lot of things that you can use your tags for in order to manage that. Now, something else with tags is you can also filter by the tag. So if I go in here and I just filter by ceremony, it's going to pull up all of my items that have that ceremony tag on there. So if you just want to look, okay, where's all the places that I'm going to be at with this venue? I can pull that up and it's going to pull up anything that's on my dashboard. I'm able to filter by that right here in the tags right here. That kind of brings us to the second thing that's here, and that is going to be the filters. I'm going to turn my tags off just because, but that's going to be our filters right here. If you have the branch functionality, so branches is if maybe you're managing, generally we see like locations. If you have a couple of different locations, sometimes many different locations, we have people in the software that have many different locations, but you can manage those in one place. You can also restrict access, maybe not restrict access, but if you have somebody working at one location, they don't necessarily need to see all the events for the other location. You can manage that for visibility, but then still have visibility over everything that's here in your account. In this account, we do have branches, and so we will look at some things with branches, but this is where I can quickly say, okay, where, maybe I just want to look at my smells like home catering account. That's going to pull up all of my events for that one. That's going to be with your branches. We already talked about tags, quickly and able to filter by tags. You can filter by status right here with this one. You can filter by status as well by just clicking on the pipeline at the top. That's something that's a quick way to do it. Anytime that you put a tag into place, you're going to see that it's got this little icon right here. You can do multiple tags on here as well, or multiple filters on here as well. It's going to pull up everything that applies to those specific filters. That's going to be there. Something to keep in mind about tags is or filters is if I navigate away, say that I navigate over to my filter, and then I navigate back, that filter is going to persist. So if you're ever looking for something and you can't find it on your dashboard, first thing to check is just click clear all. Clear out your filters so that makes sure it pulls up everything in front of you again. Something that I filter by regularly, especially if I'm working in someone else's account, I'm in a lot of people's accounts every day, is I filter by the date. I do it all the time. So I may want to say, okay, what are all of the events that I have in November, November of this year? I can just filter by those dates so that way I can see those, I can work on those, and I'm not having to refine things in my list all the time. I love filtering by the date. The other one is owner. So you can choose who do I want to filter by, the owner of the events. But the last one is going to be archived. This is where you can see all of your events that you have created from forever in the system. Any event that you've ever created, it's going to be showing here in the archived tab. Something that I do see regularly, especially for people that came from our legacy platform from Curate Classic and their data moved over in the updated interface, it was very not very difficult, but it was a little bit more time consuming to archive events in Curate Classic. So we do have people that have come from Curate Classic and they have years of events right here on your dashboard. It is easy, so easy to now archive events in the system because I could filter down. So a quick way that I always say, maybe I want to filter everything up to the beginning of October. And I'm going to throw a date in there and say that's my end date. So I've got a filter that's everything that I have until October. Now I can click on all of those events, everything that populates there, and I can archive those in bulk in the system. It really cleans up your dashboard. It reduces confusion in the system, just makes it way easier for managing those events, keeping that list cleaned up for you and for your team. It's a great way of managing that. So I do a lot of things in bulk here in the system. We didn't have that capability in Curate Classic like we do in the updated interface. Okay. Now, if say that you did have an event, this is pretty common. I'd hear people say, "Hey, I do the same event every week," or once a year I do the same fundraiser, or once a quarter I'm at the same board meeting. Working those events every single year. You are able to go back to an archived event and use that event as your starting place whenever you're creating a new event. Now, of course, when you click plus new event, you can search here, but this is only going to be your live events. That way, it gives you a more true list of what you want to kind of go off of. This is going to be your live events that are going to be showing here. But say that you have the fundraiser that you did last year, and you want to use that as your starting place. It doesn't change anything, so you're maintaining that record from last year, but you want to use that as your starting place. Go to your archived events, just like what I showed right here where it says show archive. Then I can go in here and I can click these three little dots right here. Many people probably have never realized those three little dots are there. Click those three little dots and click duplicate event. It pulls that event up for you to use as your starting place. So you may want to say, okay, 2025 San Diego Wine and Culinary Event Center. That allows you to put that in there. It will keep the customer in there. You know, if it's still the same customer, it'll keep the kind of same information there. You can just update the information for that particular event. Can be a huge time saver. Something that I hear pretty regularly too is maybe you did one siblings event, one siblings wedding, and you want to go back and know, what did I do for them? What did I help them with? What was the pricing that I put on that? You would go back to your archived events and you can go back and reference that again, from the past, so that you can make sure that you're following that. Okay. The other thing that I want to talk about here on your dashboard is your pipeline. Something that I think is, to me, it's relatively new in the past few months. We have released the ability to manage your pipeline right here. If you didn't know, now you know. You do have the ability to change the names, to change the status, all of these things that are up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my settings in a new tab. Now, for I know I'm in Curate every day, so I've got a little things that I just kind of do naturally. I'm the tab queen. So I know I've got a lot of friends out there that are also tab queens. So I'm gonna walk you through my flow here. But I right click on this settings and then I'm gonna open this in a new tab. I like doing that because I know we're gonna come back to this events page and I want to keep it up and handy. But in my settings right here, I'm gonna be in general and I'm going to go down here to pipeline. In this pipeline, this is where I can manage the stages that I have on my pipeline on my dashboard. So if you want to show the stages for your inquiries, we're not digging deep into inquiries today, but if you want to show the stages for your inquiries, you do have the ability to show those here. You can see all of the ones that we have. More importantly, I would like to show the stages for your events. You can choose, do I want it to show or not? The status can be there and you just don't show it. But you can choose, do I want to show it or not? Or do I want to change the name? This is a custom status where I added a new stage and I can update the proposal. I said updated proposal link. You could say something like in production or something like that. You're able to change these stages on here as well as to change the color of those stages. So I'm going to click save right here. And let me come over here and click refresh. We'll see that this one changes to in production. There we go. You can reduce the number of stages. You can add the number of stages that's here, but you can manage that pipeline to better reflect your workflow. Something that we commonly see is this created, means you haven't done anything with it. Proposal sent is just like what you think. You have sent the proposal, but nothing has really happened yet. It's still pending. Booked has different meanings for different people. Most people, if they've signed or they've paid or both, that is booked for them. In production is not one that I see commonly, to be honest. It is an example one that, but very few people really use it. So I would recommend changing it to something that's more valuable for you. Updated proposal link. This is one where I did do updates in the system and I sent them over the updated link. Completed, very common, or lost. That's also very common. Sometimes I'll see people will use one that's for canceled or something like that on here, some sort of stage for those things in the system. All right. But the other thing that I want to look at here on the pipeline stages is the colors. So you have the ability in the system to do a color on the event or to do a color for the stage. I'm going to look at an event as an example really quickly. This Melanie Jacobs has a pink color for the event. The event is pink. Usually I see people using this. If you like to use that event color, a lot of times people use it to represent the type of event that it is. So maybe that pink color is a wedding, and maybe you have a green color to represent corporate events. Maybe you have a blue color to represent a shower or something like that. You can do whatever your type of events are. I'll see people do that in the system. They'll do that where they represent the type of event. If I'm looking on the calendar, let me click my calendar link right here. You can do it, yeah, based on the color for them to show in there. But the other thing, let me see. Oh, it's in rare. Okay, so if you wanted to do it based, if you wanted to show based on the color, let me go back to my settings page, navigate it away from settings. You can have your calendar show the event color that you're using to represent the event, or you can have it to represent the stage, the status of that event. If I go up here in my settings, I'm going to look on this calendar drop down right here. Right now, I have my calendar as the status of the color. There's a lot of people, especially coming from Curate Classic, they really want their calendar to reflect the status so they can see at a glance, where are my events right now? What stages are my events at that are this month or next month or whatever? A lot of people really like it to be reflect the status. This is where you change that. Go into your settings under general and then change that to status right there. Right now we have it already set to status, so that's why mine are different colors on my calendar. Let me jump back over to my event page. That's why mine are different colors on my calendar, because I have it based on the status that's showing here. You manage that here in the calendar as well as by the color on the pipeline. You can establish the color on the pipeline right there to see what stage and what status you want them to show. And you do that here in your settings. Okay. Now, on those stages, one thing that I will say, I'm just going to give a nod to it. We're not actually going to talk through it today. You also have the ability to set up an automation with these stages. We're going to be talking about that towards one of our end session when we dig deep into automations, into reporting and things like that. But on these event stages, whenever you're thinking about what stages, you could also use it as a marker of like, this is a time when we need to do a communication with the customer. So you could have like a follow-up stage or something like that in there. Where you can, whenever they move to that stage, you can trigger an email to that customer. So that is also something that you can do with the event stages that we will look at eventually. Okay. Now, last thing that we're going to look at here on the dashboard that we'll talk about here is commonly people don't know that you can do is you can change the columns that actually show here. You know, some people, they tell me they do not need the event ID. I use the event ID every day, but some people do not use the event ID. So if you go down here in our settings and general, and we go down to preferences, you can change the what you want to show. Maybe I don't want to show the event ID there. Sometimes people tell me they don't like to show the price column because they pull the system up in front of their customers. They don't want their customer to see the price, so they turn off the price column. Sometimes branch, I'll toggle it off just for an example, but if there's something that you don't want to show here, I'm going to refresh my screen. So it pulls in those changes. It can kind of clean up your list, make it a little bit more visually easy for you to see, less data for you to have to process whenever you're looking at the list. Just makes it easy. Go ahead and set up your preferences so that it is showing. Those are the table column preferences that are there. Okay. All right. Last thing that I'm going to look at here before I kind of shift gears is you also have the ability in preferences. So if I go to settings under general, let me close my pipeline, go to general and down in preferences, you can choose where you land whenever you go into your proposal. I know this is going to blow some of your minds. Right now, I have the ability that you can say, where do I want to automatically land whenever I go into an event? Right now, we have it to automatically go into the portal. So let me demonstrate. 99% of people, that's where they're going to go. So if I want to open this one, whenever I open up that event, I'm going to land on this portal tab right here. Okay. If I change that, maybe I want to go directly to the orders page where I would go in to make any sort of changes or anything. So let me refresh really quick. I'm going to click on that. It is going to take me directly to the orders tab where I can make changes to my line items, to anything that I'm going to be doing in there. So just quickly, just choose where do I want to land whenever I click on that button. The other one that we have is recipes. So if you choose that one, it will take you directly into the recipes tab where you can make changes to the line items, make changes to the recipes. If that's where you find yourself most often, use that where it's going to take you back to that place. I'm going to change mine back to Portal for now. Okay. And since I'm thinking about it, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Here on the dashboard as well, if you hover over an event, you're going to get a little hover card right here. It does show some information about that event. If you want to quickly jump to payments, you can do that. If you want to see the customer link immediately, you can do that. You know you're going to the portal, you can click on that, download the PDF, go to the order, go to the recipes. Those are just quick links as well to navigate through the system. If you know you're going to a different place, you can just go straight directly to that location, no matter where you're landing, immediately in the proposal. Okay. All right. We are knocking it out. I'm gonna jump over on that one. We're gonna jump back into the settings, and we're actually gonna jump over to the payments that are over here. So I'm going to go to payments really quickly, and we're going to talk about accepting payments in the system. Okay. Um, on the payments tab, you're going to see that we've got Curate payments that is showing right here. If you have multiple branches, you can manage payments based on the branch. So a lot of times, if you're doing branches, that will mean for people that they have different Stripe accounts that they want to use in the system. You can do that. You're allowed to set up payments specific to that account. You can manage the branches that are here. The default payment option that we have is called Curate Payments. This one is Stripe. It's a special setup that we have with Stripe where we can do some additional features on Curate Payments that we can't necessarily do with the native Stripe integration. But with Curate Payments, this one will completely pass those card fees along to your customer. So for most people, this is what they want to use whenever they are integrating payments in the system, is Curate Payments. It will completely pass those fees along to your customer, and it allows customers to pay via ACH in the system. So customers can choose, do they want to pay via their bank account or do they want to pay via credit card? The nice thing is it has a much lower fee if they pay via ACH. So that's a nice in between with them actually bringing you a check or putting a check in the mail and or bringing you cash or whatever. It gives them a nice in between where they can pay their bill, make the payment, but not have to actually talk to you or call you during business hours. They can do it at 1 a.m. This one does completely pass those card fees along to your customer. But the really nice thing about Curate Payments is now say that you have $1,000 payment. It's $1,000 payment. It adds the fee on there for whatever. And then, but whenever that money is deposited into your bank account, it will be $1,000. So you no longer have to deal with remitting or accounting for those different card fees on in your accounting on the accounting side, because it is going to be the actual payment amount that is adding up to the total of the proposal. It is really handy. And once it's set up, so if you haven't already set it up, you just click connect. It'll take you through the flow of entering that information. Just use your same Stripe account. It'll take you through the flow there. But once it's set up, it is set up. It will apply that card fee every time that a customer goes in to make a payment in the system. We also have we also have like a native Stripe integration that's here where you can set up some information. Just use your Stripe account to accept payments. With this one, you do absorb the card fee. So generally, the people that would be using this one are maybe you're not located in the US, you would want to use this Stripe integration. Maybe you cannot pass those fees along to your customer. There are 3 states that I know of that you are not legally able to pass that card fee along to your customer. You would want to use this version of Stripe that's here. That's going to be those people but most people actually really want to use this Curate Payments because they want to pass those fees along to their customer. On that note, 2 more things around payments, 2 other features that we'll talk about is gratuity. You can also accept gratuity in the system. So if you go to general and you go under gratuity, You can just toggle that on. That will allow people to add a tip. So it's going to do it on that final payment in the system, adds that capability for them to add a tip if they would like. A lot of people tell me actually that they don't have a lot of people that leave tips in the system, but then on the day of event, they do have a much higher um, occurrence of people handing them a tip at the location than before they had gratuity turned on. So it just kind of signals to people that you are open to tips, that you are open, your team is open to gratuity. They work really hard, any sort of appreciation really goes a long way. So that turning on that gratuity, even if it doesn't increase the amount that they're putting in the system whenever they process payment, it signals to them that you are open to gratuity and to your team getting that benefit for the event. So that's going to be gratuity. That's where you would toggle that on for your customers. The next thing that to talk about would be payment reminders. So if I go over here to notifications, sorry, wrong place, to notifications, I can go down here to my payments. All right. This is where you can set up a payment reminder. It will only send to anything that is marked as like booked or completed, like past that booked stage. You obviously don't want to be sending a reminder to anybody that has not even booked with you yet. It's just going to send for those events. You can choose the date range and you can choose what template that you want to use. We'll go into that a little bit deeper when we jump into the templates, but this is where you can use that to set up a payment reminder to send over to your customer. Something additionally is this email receipts box. Sometimes people, if you are accepting payments in Curate, you may want to automatically trigger a receipt to your customer. Sometimes people already have that set up with Stripe. A lot of times people already have that set up with Stripe. But if you want to send a receipt from Curate where they are processing the payment, you can turn that on so they're automatically going to get a receipt whenever that's sent over to them. You can do that here as well. All right. Um, okay. We are trucking along. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm actually going to flip over to custom properties over here. Feel free if you have any questions. I do see questions coming through. People are sending questions through into the Q&A or into the chat. If you have questions, feel free to throw them over into the chat section so that we can help. But I'm going to jump over here to the custom properties. In the custom properties section, a lot of people don't really know what to use custom properties for. Why? Why would I use custom properties on my proposals? What are some examples of some scenarios? What custom properties are is they allow you to document information about events that you can then use in another place. Something that is super common that I see is this one right here that says allergies. It allows you to grab information about a customer and you can put it on your form. We'll kind of look at that on the forms. You can put it on the form and say, are there any allergies that we need to be aware of? Then your customer can fill that out and you can plug that in both into the notes for your team or into the actual event so that your customer can see, yes, I am aware of any allergies that we may be dealing with for this event. If grandma is deathly allergic to roses or shellfish or something like that, you want to make sure that you know those things whenever you're working that event. So allergies is a great one that because you may want that to go somewhere. A couple of other custom properties that we might see is like the theme of the event. So you may have them describe their event in their own words. So I'm going to choose a multi-line text so that they have space, and I'm going to say theme of event. I'm going to put that in here. And then we can use that on our form or even whenever I'm building out the proposal to put it in their words, what they're looking for their event, what style, whatever they're looking for. And you can plug that right into the proposal. Another one that I see is the budget question. Everybody has the budget question. If you don't, you should have the budget question. I'm going to do like a single line text and I'm going to say budget. You can do a lot of different things. I do see people as well do like a radio button where you have budget ranges, and that's a way to subtly imply your minimum. So maybe you don't do anything for less than $3,000. You can put 3,000 to 5,000. That's the bottom range of the budget. In this case, I'm going to do a single line text so they can just type in the budget. of what they're looking to spend for their event. We can put that in there. The other thing, sometimes I'll see, like if it's a wedding and you are putting the fiance's name um into the contract, I'll just put that in here. You can ask for that on the form, so then you can automatically plug that into the contract. That can already be there, so I don't have to think about that anymore on the contract. Those are a few things that you can use in the custom properties. We're gonna apply those things so you can see what they look like. The other thing in the custom properties that we see a lot of people use for is going to be something that we call calculated properties. Calculated properties, it is just going to be a calculation based on some items in the event. What do I want to get a percentage of within the event? So we've got some examples that are already here. We've got a design fee, we've got a food and beverage fee, we've got a travel fee. You may have a certain percentage, it's 5% travel fee, or it's a percentage depending on how far the event is from you. We've got a labor fee. We have got several examples in here of things that you may want to do a certain calculation, whether you're showing it to the customer or not. Sometimes people like to do a certain commission, a calculation for commission, that maybe they're showing it, it's a kickback that they're doing to the venue or to the planner or something like that, a certain value, so that calculation is happening while you're working in the system. All of those things, you can manage those here in the custom properties section. So you can see I've looked at a couple of those where it says the calculated property. This is just a date field, a number field. Those are just examples of custom properties. The main thing that you would want to use a custom property for is data that needs to go somewhere else. So you're inputting data that needs to go somewhere specific on the proposal or in the contract or something like that. You could even put it in your production notes. Data that needs to be plugged in somewhere else, that's what you would use a custom property for. So those are a few examples that are in there. Okay. I think the one that we didn't look for the calculated property is also discounts. If you like to do a discounts for people and you don't do a flat number, you do a calculated property, or you do a percentage, that could be a calculated property as well. Okay. Um, Let me just show you quickly on a form. I'm going to go over here to the inquiries onto a form. So we are not digging really into the forms today, but we are going to I just want to show you what that it looks like kind of on the forms so that you're ready whenever we do go through the process of filling out a form, inputting that information for the custom properties and pushing that into a proposal in the system. So I'm going to use this website form. We're going to update this one right here. Okay. We've got a couple of questions in here. We've got the date, the address, we've got the reception location. I'm going to put this in here and I'm going to say, um, uh, are there any allergies that we should be aware of? Okay. In here, it is going to link it to that custom property that we built out. So whenever they fill out this form, that data is going to push into that proposal so that we can use that data to show them we do know whatever allergies that we're talking about here. The other one that we just built is like the theme. So I'm going to do theme of the event, um, uh, describe the theme and uh, styling of your event. So just putting some things in there, and whenever they answer those things, it's going to be plugged into the proposal and it's already going to be filled out, whether it's for you or for your team. I'm going to go up here and click save. Okay. Now, I know I feel like I'm kind of a tease with this one, but that was building the calculated properties. I did just put it into my form. Now, whenever we talk about the inquiries next week, whenever we talk about that, we're going to see how we can plug that directly into the proposal and some other tips and tricks with plugging that data in there. All right. Um, one of the later things that we're going to talk about today, which I meant to ask Brooklyn, did you have any other examples of custom properties? I know Brooklyn works in this a lot, but did you have another example of a custom property that you see people using in the system?
Yeah, those are all pretty, I feel like common ones. Just everyone works so differently. So, whether you're a florist, a caterer, event planner, venue, there's all sorts of ways to utilize those. And then as Shannon mentioned, like they're very handy to plug in across the
Yeah.
app. You can utilize them within the forms themselves, as we just covered. Contracts, as Shannon mentioned. You can add them usually like within personalized tokens, within different kinds of like text content of the event, like whether that's a production note, like an internal note to the team, or within the actual portal, context of wanting to add kind of just a quick, almost like snippet of, saving you time of being able to not have to manually type out this information over and over again. It kind of just lives among the event, and then you can kind of just reference it as a token throughout. But yeah, those are all very common ones. So definitely, as Shannon mentioned too, I know you had a good touch point about the budget. That is a great tool to utilize, especially if you're trying to, in a very gentle way, try to filter out some maybe leads that wouldn't quite be a good fit. Oftentimes, you might not want to always market maybe what your packages cost or your services. But a lot of times folks will lead into having those kind of questions, really kind of set the tone of, kind of the clientele that you bring on or the event
Right.
volume, and sizes of the events that you do. So,
Okay. That's
yeah,
good.
you're doing great, Shannon. We're covering a lot. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
we're excited about this webinar series to really kind of highlight the best tips and tricks. And I'm excited to see all the tips and tricks that are being sent in. So I know we talked
Yes.
about that
Mhm.
earlier, but if you haven't, check the chat. There's some links in there so that you guys can submit
Mhm.
kind of your best tips and tricks on using Curate. So we'd love to hear it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, so that's going to be for the tokens and for the custom properties that are going to build into the tokens. We'll kind of touch back on that next week. The last thing that I want to kind of look at together, before Brooklyn actually is going to bring some other things. She's going to talk about a few other things that's not really, not technically for features and functionality, but it's going to be other tips that really are really helpful for people that we've kind of accumulated. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is templates. That is one of the hot things. I feel like every day I'm talking to somebody about templates. They can really help you scale. Templates are so good that they'll save you so much time. I know it's old hat for people that have been using them forever, but if somebody has not really dug into the templates, it is something that could really save you a lot of time. Okay. Now, there's two types of templates that I would consider. Number one is going to be a template that I'm using for a full event. All right. So, looking on this page right here, down here at the very bottom, my very last event right here, I've got something called Mackenzie's Retro Wedding Template. That is a template that I can use whenever I am starting a new event. So, a lot of people, you have a template on your dashboard. I recommend putting the word template in that event, but basically, I'm using that event whenever I'm starting a new event. All right. So I'm going to go over here and click plus new event. This is a piece. I had a conversation with somebody yesterday and a conversation with somebody today. They were experiencing a gap in their flow, but they were not using the template as their starting place whenever they're creating a new event. That is key to save you a lot of time for setting up little pieces, little stuff whenever you're setting up a new event. Utilize the template whenever you're creating a new event. Now, the other side of this is you can also duplicate from another event that you have made in the past. So maybe I'll say, oh, this is really close to this Jack and Annie Knox Creek Farms. I can use that as my starting place, and I can say Alicia and Alan's wedding. I can use that other event as my starting place for another event. That is very key for the process. It will save you so much time whenever you're creating a new event to just utilize that template that is there. All right. Now, next week, I believe it's next week that we will be talking about. just the setup of the proposal, all of the things that you can do with the proposal, all of those things. If you want to update what your proposals look like for the future, do it here in this event template, this full event template, so that it'll be there every time that you create a new event. Now over here, we also have a templates tab right here. This is more pieces of your event. So here in the system, you can now do multiple contracts in an event. All of those are going to be stored here. All of your different contracts, sort of different payment schedules that you may have, your email templates, all of those are going to be here in this templates tab. This is not the all-in-one event. This is your all-in-one event right here. This template down here, whatever you have on your dashboard, that template that you have there, and you're going to use that as your starting place. So just keep that in mind. But let's hop over here to the templates really quickly. I'm going to do a little look at this one before I pass it off to Brooklyn to give her final tips and tricks of not feature related tips and tricks that we for people to be aware of in the system. Okay. Up here at the top, we have a couple of different tabs here. We've got an orders template, event details template, payments template, contracts template, timeline template, and email templates right here. The orders template, basically, this is a section or multiple sections of line items that you would want to pull into your proposal. Okay. Now, if I go down here to this, we'll look at the holiday menu. One thing to be aware of is your line items do have to be a product. So I have to search for, I can search for a product. I can add another one in here, whatever you want to kind of pull in. Um, you can pull that in here, to the system. You are setting up different sections that I could then pull into my proposal. So I might do desserts. I'm going to make a dessert section right here. You can format it however you format it. I know a lot of caterers, so this is more of a catering themed one. You like to center them so you can do that menu style, that menu look on your proposal, but you can center them there. But you can add multiple sections. You can have many line items in here, but this is just a saved sections, single section or multiple sections that you can then pull into your proposals. I'm going to save that one. The other one that we have is event details. So I'm going to look at this full package one for an example. What this does is this allows you to pre-fill data in the description of your event and see how we're using that allergies token already there in the description of the event so that you can be aware, as well as in the production notes. This allows you to set any sort of tags or fill in any sort of specific information about your fees, your line items, your custom properties that we have built out down here at the bottom. So this allows you to go ahead and plug in some of that. Whenever we're building a new event, I'm going to use some of these templates so that you can see them in action. But you can also set it to be your default template. So if every time you want it to have this information or these tags, it's going to automatically be pre-populated with that information. Okay. I'm going to continue without saving. The other one that we have is payments. This one is pretty understandable. Most people are already connecting with this one, where you're saying these are different payment schedules that we have where I can choose how I want those payment schedules to be set up in my proposal. Contracts, you can easily manage those here, add many different contracts, different things that you want people to sign. Timelines are very helpful, very helpful. They allow you, you can make them internal or you can make it public. In this case, all of this right now is not public, but this allows you to set up certain timelines to pre-populate into your proposals, as well as your email template. So you can set your email templates up right here. Something that is new that we've recently done is this explore templates, where you can find different templates to add to your library. So you can choose, okay, yeah, let me add up this I want to do a timeline template, this dinner service timeline template. I'm going to add that right here. I'm going to add it into my order. Now I have it in my timeline tab right here. Okay? All right, that was a quick look at the templates. We will dig more into those as we're actually building the events next week. I'm going to pass this to Brooklyn, and she is going to wrap us up with just a few other tips about that will make your life easier whenever you're working in Curate.
Yeah, thanks, Shannon. As Shannon mentioned, these aren't necessarily technically feature tips and tricks, but rather just kind of like some housekeeping on just efficiencies, performance, things like that within the app. So I'm going to let me try to share my
Oh, I'll let me
screen.
stop sharing.
Um, that way I can just kind of visually show. Oh, there it is. Sorry. Okay. Should be sharing now. Okay, great. So, yeah, just some little tidbits, I guess, just to help, again, just with the way the system is performing on your end with using the app. We do recommend utilizing Chrome as your browser. We know there's lots of browsers out there for folks to use with using Curate, but for the best experience and performance, we do recommend using Google Chrome. It's easy to download if you're not using that. You can just search Google Chrome and then you can add that and then you can default that as your browser. And so one thing with that is as you are using your browser, you might oftentimes, if you're talking to our support team, they might mention to clear your cache or to clear your cookies. And if you're not quite familiar with that, I'll show you how to do that. But it's just if things aren't quite looking right, oftentimes, a simple solution is just to clear your browser cache, just for Curate, but this often fixes like small display or loading issues. And to do that, there's a few different ways. I'm using a Mac, and so I can kind of use some keyboard shortcuts. And so that would be using Command Shift and the letter R to like refresh. You can see my screen's refreshing. I oftentimes, though, I like to click this little not sure even what you call it, this little button here
Toggle.
next to the URL. And if you click that, it'll open up this menu and then you can click into cookies and site data. And this will, I can see here, manage on device site data. I can then click this. It'll open up for me. And then I'm just going to hit the trash can on all this and these up here. And then I can hit done and it'll log me out. It'll reload. But this is just for Curate. And then this kind of touches on just another little point that I wanted to make with accepting the cookies. You can kind of see that down here. It says, we use cookies to enhance your browsing experience. So we do recommend accepting that. Oftentimes, some folks might not see the chat bubble, and that's just because you might have rejected the cookies. So we do need some cookies to help you with the chat box for that to be available. So I'm going to hit accept, and then I'm going to just log myself back in and then everything will be cleared out. A lot of times, again, that will just often fix some small display or loading issues by doing that simple trick. And then I know I mentioned if you don't accept the cookies, sometimes you might not see the chat bot, but I did want to point out the chat bot is located over here in the bottom left-hand corner. And so this is how you would access chat. If you haven't utilized it, we do have support. You can message us here. You would just click into the chat box and then you'll select messages and then you can ask a question. And so this will prompt what we call Finn. It's our Curate bot. It is very helpful. You can ask questions. A lot of times it will even just navigate. I know some folks like to even just use it to find like help articles. It'll, search like keywords and give you articles. You can also ask for success and you can get in touch with someone on our team if the chatbot isn't quite, giving you the answer that you need. You can always access our team as well. And then just another quick note around kind of the help center. We do also have in this little chat bot, let me go back out of the chat. If you click down here, there's some different tabs. So we do have news. This kind of goes along with, as Shannon mentioned at the start, we do have another type of webinar that goes on. If you'd like to sign up for it, it's on a monthly basis, but this covers product updates. It will kind of align with these product announcements within the app. So this is just a way for you to kind of see what has been released, stay on top of things. Just a quick way to access that information within the chat bot here. We do like to make enhancements and new features. Just so everyone is aware, we typically do those releases early on Tuesdays. Some weeks it could be on Wednesday morning, but that just means enhancements and improvements, new features. You're probably going to see those about midweek. And when those releases are available, it might prompt you to refresh your browser page. So if you see that, just click it. Make sure you're using the latest version of Curate. You'll notice it in app once those releases are available. And I guess I'll send out the link here to join that monthly webinar, as I mentioned, but Shannon and I do that together, just to kind of highlight a little bit of what's been released over the course of the last month, similar to kind of what Shannon, demoed. It's very visual. People can ask questions on the call, so we'd love you to join us for that as well. But I guess I won't keep us any longer because I see we're at time. But just wanted to throw out some of those tips and tricks there, if that helps at all with
Yeah,
kind of
that's great.
aside from the feature, just some other ways that you can kind of utilize and make sure everything's performing the best to for its ability. So let me, before we all hop off, I'm going to send out this link to everyone too for if you'd like to sign up for the monthly webinars. There's a registration link there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we will. I'll send that. I'll include that in the follow-up email. So, um, for the takeaway for this week, main thing is we want to make sure that your account is set up and you are ready to go. You've got this customization and these features that is going to ease your workflow. Next week, what we will really be talking about is going to be forms, setting up those forms. I see Deborah as chatting with Cheryl about some things that you can do with forms and the auto responses that you can do with forms. We're going to be digging into that as well as digging into setting up the proposal. So that's going to be next week. But some homework items that I say to build you up for next week is number one, set up your payments in the system. It will save you so much time. Set that up and set up payment reminders. Second one, get an event template on your dashboard. Again, will save you so much time if you get an event template on your dashboard. You can clean up your event list if needed using the archiving functionality and try to set up a few custom properties. Just get one or two in there of data that you know goes places, and we're going to implement those next week in the system. We will be sending over a follow up email with a lot of resources that we discussed today. But just remember, if you haven't already, go ahead and be sure to put your tip and trick onto the Curate community today. And we're going to be sending out Starbucks gift card for anybody who does that. All right. Thank you so much for joining us this week. So excited to talk with you next week about forms and building out proposals and all of the depth that really goes into that. As we together, we're going to level up with Curate. All right. You guys have a great week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.